Onion, or Glass Onion, A Knives Out Mystery, is a new murder mystery whodunit type of movie that actually hasn't even come out yet. This movie is actually scheduled to pop out on Netflix in a few weeks, I think sometime around Christmas, and Netflix decided to also distribute this movie temporarily in a limited release in theaters. This movie came out like a week ago or something in theaters, and I got a chance to watch it a little bit early. Which is kind of funny because I was watching Netflix earlier, like Netflix is on my TV in the background. I forgot that it came out around Christmas, and I was just like, oh, okay, so when does Glass Onion come? Like, it's supposed to be on here already, isn't it? Like, I was kind of confused. And then I started doing this video and I was just like, oh yeah, right. Doesn't come out for another few weeks. Fucking dumbass. Either way, this movie's directed by Rian Johnson. I'm sure that Rian Johnson has a very polarizing effect on the audience when they hear that name. This is a guy that's directed movies like Brick, Looper, The Last Jedi. But he also directed Knives Out, which came out in 2019. Netflix has decided to turn this into a big franchise. Speaking of that cast, you've got Janelle Monáe, Edward Norton, Dave Bautista, Kathryn Hahn, Kate Hudson, Leslie Odom Jr., and not to mention Daniel Craig reprising his role as one of the greatest detectives in the world, Benoit Blanc. I think that's how you say his name. A group of rich, wealthy, successful, I don't want to call them assholes, I'll just call them friends. A bunch of rich, successful friends decide to get together for a weekend getaway on this island. You know, they're doing a bunch of fun stuff. Somebody ends up dead, and Benoit Blanc, the greatest detective in the world, is invited to the island, and he has to kind of figure out what happened and why this person ended up dead. Then it becomes a guessing game. Who did it? Who had the motive? Who has the agenda? How's it all gonna unravel? You know, it's a classic whodunit type of movie. Like, some people, you say, oh, Rian Johnson directed this movie, and they're kind of, they kind of react like,
that's why he's the MVP! That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
But then you mention Rian Johnson to some other people, and then they're kind of like,
fuck y'all! God damn! God damn!
I would say I lean positive with Rian Johnson. I've actually enjoyed most of his work, both in TV and in movies. I liked the first Knives Out movie, and I was looking forward to this new one, and I gotta say, I think this movie is actually better than the first Knives Out, or at the very least, I enjoyed it a lot more than the other Knives Out, and I thought the first Knives Out was a good movie. For starters, I love the direction here. Like, not only is it a gorgeous looking movie, not only do they utilize this budget to the best of their capabilities as far as like the production and the set design, the look of this island, the look of this house. I mean, it is perfect, rich asshole type decor, and pretty much everything about the way this movie looks and the design is just on point. So the cinematography and all of that is taken care of. But my favorite thing about the direction is how he made this movie feel like a whodunit, but not like a whodunit that you've seen before. Like, it very easily could have been a whodunit mystery that felt like the first movie. Somehow he's added a lot of meat to his potatoes in here in terms of making this a bigger mystery, a grander story, while also not repeating the exact same pitfalls and steps that the other movie took. It kind of forges its own path. This movie does a great job at pointing the finger at all of the characters and basically making you wonder, like, who has the agenda, who's doing what, and it's really fascinating stuff. Part of that is also due to the brilliance of the cast. There are some truly great performances in this movie. My favorite performance is definitely Janelle Monáe. She has to juggle a lot of different hats. That's really all I want to spoil about her role. She also brings it emotionally. She brings it with some of the stuff she's doing with her accent in this movie. Like, I love Janelle Monáe in this movie. But I love everybody in this movie. Kate Hudson is kind of a national treasure in this movie. Like, she's like a mix of Chelsea and La Cienega from Proud Family and That's So Raven. She's the most hilarious thing about this movie. Like, I love her. And that is something that this movie has in spades, in addition to the great performances, is that it has a great fucking sense of humor. This movie is funny. It made me laugh out loud several times. Very cleverly written dialogue and jokes. The movie does a great job at layering each character with a little bit of complexity to them so that you understand who they are, why they are the way that they are. This is a much more layered story, I think, than the original Knives Out, and you know what else has layers?
Cake! Everybody loves cakes. Cakes have layers.
Also, high praise for the score here. I love that musical score. Definitely popped in at the right time. You have humor, you have twists, you have an intriguing mystery. You have something that's really well paced also. Like, I can't even remember how long the movie is, but it definitely felt like the time flew by at a certain point. I think if you liked the first Knives Out movie, you're probably gonna like this one too. This movie was so close to being like one of those, oh, I love it, I love it, I love it movies, but I do have some reservations about how everything turned out. It does have that frustrating quality that some murder mystery movies have, where they have like a couple of curveballs that they throw in there. By the end of the movie, you realize that a lot of this information that's thrown at you is actually kind of irrelevant. So I can't say that there are scenes in this movie that don't serve their purpose, because they do, but there are some subplots that you still can't help but feel like, man, I wasted my time thinking that that was important. It's actually not important at all. The movie has some scenes that are just not important. I think my bigger issue with this movie is some of the dumb conveniences and very rushed writing I felt like in the third act of this movie. The way everything concludes, I did feel somewhat satisfied, but I didn't feel satisfied about the rocky journey it took to get there. Kind of like, I feel like this wouldn't have happened if this had happened, and I feel like this didn't need to happen, but it happened anyway. It's really more of a nitpick. I really enjoyed this movie. Who knows, by the end of the year, it might make my top 10 favorite movie list. Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery, was an absolute blast. It's one of the best murder mysteries of the year. I'm going to leave this one in the Silver Age for Man of Steel. What's your favorite film or TV episode or whatever that he's directed? And if you're not a fan, what's your least favorite movie that he's ever done? Give me that in the comment section down below. Please like and subscribe to the Superfan Show. And if you like what you see, tell me how you feel. And stay tuned to hear more from the Man of Steel. Peace.